Friends, welcome back to NRI Samay. This is Narhari. We have our guest in the studio. It's going to be the IAS officer Narahari, and Suresh is our host today, and he will continue the show. Suresh, go ahead.
Thank you, Srihari. Welcome back to all the listeners on NRI Samay. It's great to have you back. Given the recent turn of events in India or even in the US or elsewhere, people seem to be losing faith in the current system of administration, I mean more specifically in India. And at a time when young graduates are sort of steering away from the government jobs, Narhari, a young IAS officer, has defied both. He chose to be in the system and work with the system to deliver an effective administration instead of staying outside of it and criticizing the system. So let's talk to Narhari, a young dynamic IAS officer who I consider him to be the next gen IAS officer because he relies so heavily on technology and uses technology to bridge the gap. So Narhari, welcome to NRI Samay.
Thank you, Suresh. I need to first of all say good morning or whatever is the time in America at this point of time to everybody, all the NRIs, beloved countrymen, and I'm happy to be there all with you.
Thank you, Srihari. I want to begin with asking you a very dumb question. What is an IAS officer's responsibility? Like, what are his duties if you were to define them?
Basically, Indian Administrative Service is one of the premier services in the country, and once we get into the IAS, we have about 35 to 36 years of service with us till we attain an age of 60 years. So, as of now, I am in the middle level of administration. That is, I am in the districts. So, as district collector. As of now, that is my role. That's what is the profile that I hold. We run the district administration, and if you look at the structure of the administration in the country, we have the country or the state at the national level, and then we have states, that is the different provinces. And within provinces or the states, we have the districts as units of administration. So district collector is the head of the district administration in a particular district. And each and every department in the district is under the district collector. And he is also the district magistrate. That is the criminal powers under the Criminal Procedure Code or also with district magistrate. So overall it is that the district collector is in charge of the district administration and is responsible for all the duties and also execution of different schemes of the state government.
I see. So just in terms of, you touched upon the structure being, we have a federal system and then a state and then the districts, right? What is your opinion on decentralization? It's something that's already part of our constitution, where district collectors, IAS officers, even the panchayats have a very big role to play. However, it's not being implemented in a way it should have been. So what is your take on decentralization? Do you think that is going to be a reality in the near future, or are we heading towards in that direction at all? What's your take on this?
Decentralization through the 73rd and 74th Amendment of the Constitution of India has enabled the municipal corporations or the municipal bodies and the Panchayat Raj system to take shape in the country. And I would say this has been a remarkable constitutional amendment, and this all happened in the 90s. So I would say this is only about 15 to 16 years have passed ever since the decentralization of powers have taken place through this particular amendment. And I would say this is a transitional phase, or it is kind of, a start we are in a very starting situation. It's not that we have matured as a system of decentralization. So I would say we need to wait and enable the system to build up, and then we'll see results following.
I see, I see. Now, you've been recognized for your, e-government with awards almost every single year since 2007. What have you done differently to what your predecessors have done? Like, how did you manage to take technology to the people?
Basically, I did my production mechanical engineering from Hyderabad. And despite being an engineer, I have got into the civil services. That's where my passion lied in. And I always felt that technology is a very important tool in enabling citizen services to be delivered. So being able to, we have the NIC in every district, that is National Informatics Center. Through this particular NIC, and we have few people who are who have the knowledge of creating few softwares and of that kind. So what I've done is, having understood how the system runs and how difficult it is for citizens to actually get their services done at the fastest pace. So use of technology has enabled in reducing the time, energy of the citizens to get their services delivered. So basically creating few softwares and then bringing about transparency in the system. That is what I've tried to do.
I see. But don't you think in a country which is, still far behind in terms of literacy, this is still going to be a major issue, because the technology is only going to reach a small percentage of the population, and I don't know the demographics of Gwalior explicitly, but I'm just generalizing this question. So how do you don't you see this as an issue for you to take the technology forward?
Not really. Actually, even in India, also in states like Madhya Pradesh, where I'm working, the internet services have reached to major parts of the district as well. Like I would say, my district is almost like 60 to 70% internet covered. There are few shadow areas where we haven't reached, but they, by and large, with the mobile connectivity coming into picture and good mobile connectivity reaching rural and interior parts of the state, in the districts also, mobile internet connectivity has spread out. So in district like ours, we have now been able to cover every fifth panchayat wherein we have internet services available. So the scenario is really changing fast, and mobile and internet connectivity has really enabled us to use the e-technology as much as possible.
I see, I see. Can you just give an example for the benefit of the listeners, of our listeners, any such problem that you may have helped solve where the panchayats were, sort of using the technology to get their work done?
Earlier it used to be of kind wherein the people who were running the Gram Panchayats were less knowledgeable or literate about how to use computers, or how to use the softwares that have been created for the deliverance of services. But then recently, I mean, with the amendments that have taken place at the state level and rules that have been framed, all the panchayat secretaries or the assistant panchayat secretaries, they have all been, it's been made compulsory for them to have a minimum knowledge about computers and then of all these softwares. So this has enabled us to, so we pick up these guys and then we train them. We try to do capacity building of theirs, and over a period of time, they're smart enough to catch up with whatever we are doing actually.
Wow. These amendments that you mentioned, is this specific to Madhya Pradesh or it's across the board in India?
Oh, across the board in India. Now, I mean, we are inching towards e-panchayat system wherein each and every panchayat shall be become computer enabled, and now we are doing away with even the desktops also. We are moving towards the laptops and also internet based, and even the tablets also. We are thinking of giving tablets to the panchayat secretaries wherein they can work in a better fashion, than what old age computers do.
Right. Yeah, that's really wonderful. And earlier you said right now you're covering every fifth panchayat in your district.
Yeah.
So
Right.
what has been the reaction from other panchayats or the panchayat that's actually using the system? What has been their experience?
This particular thing that we are doing in this district, even my predecessor who started some of these things in this particular district, now that the system has established for more than 3 years here in this particular district where I'm serving,
right.
There were initial hiccups. People were not wanting that from paper-based system to this kind of system be evolved. So there were initial resistance, and those things existed. But then when they found that these tools are much easier to work with or much better tools in governance, then the adaptation has been very fast. And then now I would say that our district has become a model district wherein this is getting replicated to other parts of the state as well.
Wow, that's wonderful. So among your other initiatives, e-government being one of the top initiatives that you're sort of overseeing. Among the other initiatives that, as part of my research, I found was you are doing a campaign for Save the Girl Child. Now, again, apologies for not knowing enough about Gwalior, but how severe is this problem in Gwalior or in the state of Madhya Pradesh? I know it's pretty bad in Haryana, Andhra Pradesh, and a few other states, but how severe is this problem in Gwalior or in Madhya Pradesh?
A few northern states, actually Haryana, Punjab, a few northern states and Rajasthan as well. There's been the female feticide, which has become a curse for the society in a way that the modern tools like ultrasonography machines, which are basically a tool for the doctor, a sonologist, a radiologist, or a gynecologist to actually find out any deformities, if at all they exist, in the fetus. Actually, these US ultrasonography machines got evolved for that purpose. But then over a period of time, this tool started being misutilized or grossly misutilized in a way. They were being used for sex determination. In the process, what has happened is the preference for a male child in male-dominant societies or societies where there's been a negative kind of image or society environment that was been created towards girl child. This tool became handy for the doctors to terminate a female fetus.
Right.
So over a period of time in Haryana, Punjab and Rajasthan like states, what has happened is this created a sex imbalance, a sex ratio imbalance. That is, if you look at states like Haryana, Punjab, the overall sex ratio, that is for every 1,000 men, there are about 780, 790 women. Or if we the more important tool to look at these things is statistically is child sex ratio, which is sex ratio among children below 6 years. If you look at these statistics, it is even more alarming. There is less than 750 girls per 1,000 boys.
I see.
Now, state like Madhya Pradesh, where I am serving, Gwalior, Chambal, these are the regions which have been highly predominantly, male-dominant societies or patriarchal societies, male dominant kind of societies. Here
Right.
also the preference for male child also led to bit of decrease in the sex ratio in my district as well. Like I'm having, as per 2011 census, I'm having a child sex ratio of 832, which is alarming. So after I have joined here, after thorough discussion with doctors and like-minded people in the district, and also the government of India has enacted an act called PCPNDT Act, that is Preconception Prenatal Diagnostics Techniques Test Act. As per this act, any ultrasonography machine, whoever is installing in whichever clinic, they have to get registered with the district magistrate or the district collector. Now, as per this act, after going through this act, what I've thought is we need to come up with some modern tool which monitors this particular ultrasonography machine. So after looking at a countrywide phenomenon, we found out a company which can actually manufacture a device which is connected to this ultrasonography machine. And this machine, this active tracker device, what it does is whatever your ultrasonography is done on a pregnant woman, the video capsule is generated, and it is stored in this particular device, which can be seen only by the district collector or the chief medical officer or radiologist appointed by the collector. Now, we have developed a software wherein each and every active tracker device is connected to this website, wherein we have information pertaining to each and every pregnant woman whose ultrasonography is being done. Now, this tool, after we have been able to install on each and every ultrasonography machine, now the sex determination has come down so drastically, and then this tool, which is a software plus a machine which actually converts the ultrasonography into a video capsule, has enabled us to track those rogue elements or ultrasonography center doctors, and we have terminated the permissions of licenses of few of such doctors.
Wow.
Now, these are again modern tools or use of technology, use of computers and such devices or electronic devices, which are enabling children to be born, and then a balance of sex ratio is that's what can be brought about for a period of time.
Right. Now, Narhari, this is really good information that you have given, and kudos to you for taking this initiative and making sure that you address the root cause of the problem. I mean, changing the people's mindset is definitely there, but the doctors who are supposed to, give a life, they are, taking away the life. So at least we are ensuring that doesn't happen, which is a big step forward in, bridging the gap, or sort of making sure the child sex ratio is fairly even. So did this get media coverage? Because these kind of things should be brought out and should be encouraged and sort of made sure that this becomes a mandate, not necessarily whoever can or will, but instead of every doctor or every ultrasound machine needs to have this. Has there been any mandate like that, or is there a push for that?
Yeah, absolutely. After we have started this in Gwalior, and I made a presentation before the state cabinet and the entire bureaucracy during a conference of such kind, the chief minister of Madhya Pradesh was pleased to actually accept this whole thing, and they made it compulsory for the entire state, and all the districts collectors have been instructed to adopt this particular device and the system. And I'm happy that this has been replicated in the entire state.
Wow, that's wonderful. Narhari, we have a caller from Los Angeles, Shrikant, who would like to ask you a question. Shrikant, are you on air?
Yes, sure.
Shrikant, are you online, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm online, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
Namaste, Narhari ji. Sir, I'm listening to your show.
Yeah.
Wonderful work as far as female feticides and infanticides is concerned. Excellent work on that front. Sir, my question is, I'm seeing these days a lot of activism going on, and most of the times it seems to be landless people who are actually fighting for their causes. Sir, do you think there is still imbalance after all this growth that we are showing? Do you feel that there is an imbalance, a lot of gap between the rich and the poor happening right now?
I would say that it depends from place to place. Wherever the policies of the state or the schemes of the state are implemented in toto, you will not find these differences existing. But then wherever there is bit of laxity or implementation problems, then definitely these things exist. But then what I would say is with the advent of education in the entire country, there have been fairly enough opportunities for everybody. Even and then as far as activism is concerned, I would always consider this is a healthy thing to happen. Whenever there is activism or whenever people raise their voices and whenever there issues which are raised, this is always an opportunity, I would say, even for the state as well, to redress any such lopsided rules or regulations, and then they be corrected. So I would look at things in that fashion.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Shrikant, for your question. So, Narhari, going back to the female feticide, we have another online question. Kishore from Kakinada is asking, how can government control the female feticide when medicines for abortion are readily available in the regular medical shops?
Yeah. Now, there's a regulation also for these pills to who should be given these pills, There's regulation existing. It is at the district level, there are drug inspectors whose job is to ensure that these pills are not available so easily across the counter. So this needs to be really curbed. This needs to be ensured. The regulatory framework has to do their work. Secondly, what we are trying to also target here is the woman who's crossed her 13th week, 12th and 13th week of her pregnancy. That is the area of concern for us. I'll just clarify this thing, that when a woman crosses her 13th week of pregnancy, that is when the fetus takes a shape as to whether the fetus is a girl or a boy. And that is when exactly there is a lot of force from the family to go and see an ultrasonographer and check out as to whether the fetus is a boy or a girl. So this is the area where we come into picture. And anything before that is of little concern in a way, because it is not sex discrimination which is happening before the 13th week. But after 13th week, if at all any feticide is taking place, what we have seen is 99% of cases it is female feticide. So this is the area of concern, and that is where we are tracking and who's doing these things. And after the 13th week, I would say that the fetus is large enough, or the size of the fetus is quite some that it cannot be brought down by pills, you know. So these are some of the things that we have also learned over a period of time.
I see. Well, this is really very good information, Narhari, and I wish Madhya Pradesh government will be the first government to sort of implement the device as a mandate for all the ultrasound machines, and then Gwalior being the district model, hopefully Madhya Pradesh can become the state model for everyone to adopt. So wish you the very best in that effort.
Yeah, there are a few other states also, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Rajasthan, Haryana, have all started, they've all started using these devices. And there's a lot of, even the Honorable High Courts have been forthcoming in saying that this device is quite useful and this should be made compulsory in other states as well. So this is a welcome step actually.
I see. Very good. So, Srihari, it's been, Narhari, it's been about 5 or more years as an IAS officer. So right now, if you see in the opening of the program, I was telling about how people are getting skeptical about the current system and its inefficiencies, or be it administration. Before joining the Indian Administrative Services, were you also one of those people who were skeptical? Because you did say earlier that you were very passionate about getting into IAS. So what was your view before getting into IAS?
I always wanted to get into the administration because when I was as a student during my school days, happened to come across our own district collector of Karimnagar district in Andhra Pradesh. I felt that this is the place, this is the area where you can reach out to as many people and serve them. And I should say that I've completed now about 12 years in the service, and I've worked in as many parts of Madhya Pradesh. I feel my work has given me a lot of satisfaction, and there is a lot of scope, enormous amount of scope to do a lot of good work. So I would only advise, youngsters that if you have passion for doing relentless service and service without expecting anything, service wherein there is a lot of satisfaction, this is a place where youngsters should think of.
Right. That's a very good message. Hopefully the young graduates pursuing higher studies or planning on taking up corporate jobs, this is another area where their knowledge and expertise can help. So because you sort of touch upon your college days and how the district collector Karimnagar sort of made you think that this is an area where you can pursue your future. Just in terms of preparation for these IAS exams, I know it's really a daunting task to just even think about appearing for these civil service exams, and I can tell for myself when I was preparing for just the GRE and TOEFL, it was very hard for me to keep myself on track without getting distracted and to stick to a schedule and just do the minimum that's needed. How did you manage to keep your focus and determination all along in preparation for these exams?
Oh, I would say, I was always keen to get into the Indian Administrative Service, but then, engineering days were very important for me, and I never thought of getting into any other profession. But then, first of all, one has to be a good student throughout to think of going for civil services. And then once during the, preparation for civil services, it has to be definitely a lot of focus is needed. And I would say if one wants to be, one is very passionate about what one wants to be, I think There should not be any other hindrance or distraction. And yeah, definitely at that point of time, there was a lot of, at least from our own college, there were a lot of our friends who wanted to go to the software side or management side, want to go abroad. But then, yes, one has to know as to where one wants to reach, or where which kind of career is suitable for them. So I think I did a decent job during my, college days in preparing, and then was also, God was kind enough that I got into where I wanted to be.
Right. I think you're being modest by saying you did a decent job. I think you've done an excellent job. So yeah, it's definitely very, very, challenging, but yet if you're passionate, like you said, I think, one can set themselves up for whatever they want to become and pursue that. So moving forward,
right.
Yeah, switching gears slightly, I know, like you said, you've been in 12 years, right, in the administrative services. So in all these 12 years, I'm sure you must have interacted with politicians, interacted with other bureaucrats, interacted with the local municipal level officers, and various other people in the whole hierarchy of our system. How has your experience been, like in terms of the corruption that we hear, or the bureaucracy that we hear, or be it the delay tactics, or how much of politics? Like, how would you sum up your experience in these 12 years?
I would say this the system, Indian governmental system, is in transition. I would say we are about 65 odd years of democracy, and with a lot of emphasis on education, health, care needs, infrastructure, the country is definitely moving ahead. And I would say in this system there are good, bad, and worse people. All kinds of people are existing. And I'll not become cynical in a way, saying that whether it's corruption or the political or bureaucratic systems are worse or difficult to handle. I would say there are a lot of good people who are doing a lot of good things to ensure that this system works, and this system works in a better way. Yeah, there has to be a lot of transparency which needs to be brought in, and there needs to be good people even in the politics who needs to come and join. And unfortunately, the thing that we look at it is, most of the times it is good people who shy away from politics or shy away from administration. So that is where the crutch lies. If we just happen to be cynical or just talking about it and not actually working with the system, then we are not doing anything for the system. So we need to join it to make it better, I would say. And there are a lot of people, obviously a lot of young politicians also want to change the system. They want to bring in a lot of transparency. And I would say that coming 20-25 years are going to be the most interesting years in the Indian democracy and administration. And I would say that there's going to be a lot of transparency which will be brought in. The technology which is really going to, the new technological tools are really going to change the system for better. So I would put it very positive that way.
Right. Well, you mentioned briefly upon the transparency aspect now and even earlier in our discussion. How are you ensuring that you maintain complete transparency around this? I know you're doing publishing everything on the website, but outside of it, for people who don't, do you do anything else to sort of make yourself or make the administration transparent? What are certain steps that you are taking or conscious efforts that you are putting in to ensure that this is happening?
I would say there are a few levels where there is public interaction with the administration. That is where I'm trying to work on. I would say that there are as I've mentioned, number one first level of interaction is paperwork. That is where, people want their services, deliverancy of services. They want that each and every paper that is given or applied for at a particular place needs to be redressed in the smallest possible time and minimum of recidivism. So what I'm working at is, this is the first level of interaction. That is where people want absolute transparency, that if they have given a paper, their work needs to be done immediately and without any problem. So bringing off as many tools, like in my district, each and every paper that is given at the tehsil level or subdivision level or the district level, each is punched into the system. That is, anybody and everybody can track as to where their paper is moving, and they can know as to what has happened to the paper that they have applied for. And then we also give them a number as to at which they can call up and know about that particular paper, or they can look at on our website as to what happened to their paper, as to what is the grievance, whatever is the redressal level. Then we have come up with this Janmitra Samadhan Kendra. That's what I mentioned. For every in every fifth panchayat we have a Samadhan Kendra. So there, the day you apply a paper, you will be getting an acknowledgement wherein it shall be mentioned as to when you can get that particular service delivered to him. So he can just come back on that particular day and take the service without going to any other office or asking for any other department any help that he actually wants. So he doesn't need to actually go anywhere. He just needs to go back to the same place and ask for that particular paper or the redressal on that that particular day. Then apart from this, dissemination of information is the second level, wherein people need to know as to what kind of schemes or activities are being done by the district administration or the state government for them. So whether it's a website or I use Facebook, Twitter, as much as possible, dissemination of information so that people know as to what they can get from the government. Apart from this, in order to increase the transparency level, third level of interaction is moving into the districts, moving into the different corners of the district by the district administration. So every month, the entire district moves to a remotest corner of the district, and we sit throughout the day, call for applications, redress their issues, problems in the village itself, wherever we go. Now, by bringing about this kind of interaction level, as many interaction levels possible, we are trying to bring about as much of transparency possible.
I see. That's a very good initiative you spoke about, going into the different corners of the district and having a day-long, you'd say, a session, inviting people. So do you find in those sessions that some of your local administrations there are some inefficiencies there, which is why there are still some their grievances have not been addressed, or what has been your learnings from those kind of interactions with the people directly?
What I said is the first two kinds of interaction levels are more suitable for the literate people. Then the third level of interaction is more suited for those who cannot come to the tehsil levels or wherever the Janmit schemes are there. Definitely, as you have mentioned, we find that there are definitely few inefficiencies in our the field level and field level workers. So we take action on these people wherever needed, and also it's a good way of reaching out as well. It's more to learn from the field than sitting in the walls of our offices and trying to understand things.
I see. Yeah. Now I think that I can't let you go without talking about the transfers. because IAS and transfers seem to be, going hand in hand all the time. They are used mostly in one sentence. I don't know how far is this true, but I think we have an online question from Pradeep from Machilipatnam. He was obviously referring to Mr. Kemka, who is now in the news, who has been apparently transferred 41 times during his 20 years of service. Now, what is the IAS according to the administration? Are these transfers mandatory? If so, how often they need to be done?
The transfer, I would say, is a very routine and regular thing for any IAS officer.
I see.
And the civil services, the way it has evolved, has been the backbone of the country's administration. So it is meant to serve and yet be silent when it comes to being in the forefront of making news. We are here to run the administration and not making news, actually. Apart from this, transfers have always been used as tools in disguise for trying to ensure or to make honest officers silent. Definitely this has been existing ever since the civil services evolved. But then the civil services commissions, wherever the government of India level have always been asking for a secure tenure, fixed tenure, a tenure, at least a tenure of 2 years for any post that officer is transferred to. But then the recommendations of such commissions have not been implemented in letter and spirit by the state governments. So this is an issue. Definitely it needs to be addressed, and a tenure of at least of 2 years for each officer in a particular posting should be ensured, so that he or she can make best use of that particular time to deliver the job or the whatever duties he has been given. But I would say, with all carefulness, that we should always be straightforward and do our job, and transfer should never make us disheartened. Only then we will be doing our duty or job in the rightful manner.
Right, right. I think that's a very valid point you mentioned. However, the tenure that you are recommending, the 2-year tenure, do you think that this is good enough? For example, you're doing a wonderful job in your district of Gwalior, and I'm sure there are more things that you want to do, and you're also building a rapport, not just with your local administrators, but with the whole of district. Now, don't you feel the 2 years are a little less for you to take your agenda forward and widen your impact?
Yeah, definitely. So 2 years when you're talking about is the minimum. It's not the maximum one. It's a minimum tenure of 2 years.
I see. All right. So moving on to, these are again online questions that we have been getting. You talked about the activism, the need for activism in a vibrant democracy. Now, we have seen one of the biggest, not the biggest, but definitely out there, the anti-corruption movement that started about 2 years ago, and it sort of had its own highs and lows. But do you think this anti-corruption movement has in any way deterred the bureaucrats or the functioning of the bureaucrats, or has this been did it make any impact according to what at least you see in Gwalior, for example? How has the reaction to this anti-corruption movement, not from the people per se, but from your local bureaucrats and administrative officers?
Now, this activism that we have seen, as I've mentioned, is a welcome step in a way that for all those people who are corrupt or who are dishonest, stricter laws, implementation of stricter laws, and apart from that, bringing in steps that would enable the dishonest people are caught and prosecuted and judgments are delivered. At the district level or even at the state level, what I've seen is this particular kind of movement has definitely filled in a bit of fear among those dishonest people, and the kind of things that have been asked in the movement are not definitely what we see are going to be the true steps to reduce corruption. But definitely, these activism and these kind of movements, they try to throw a lot of light on the system, and they try to create a lot of space in the system for more transparency to be brought in. And I would say that this is happening. This is definitely happening.
Right. Now, I want to ask you a personal question, if I may. You said earlier that the transfers within the IAS community, that should not deter the officers from doing their, or fulfilling their responsibilities and duties. But if in this example, Mr. Ashok Khemka, after serving so many number of years, he still has to go through this, he's still sort of, it's like, if the bureaucrats say or the government says, okay, he has to be dismissed or he has to be suspended or he has to be transferred, there's nothing much Mr. Khemka could do at that point. He is almost, powerless. He has to do what the authorities have to do or resign from their post. Now, this is not the first time this happened. It has happened many a times, and this will continue to happen, unfortunately. But whenever these sort of happens, what do you feel, or what do you like? Won't you have a sense of, okay, what is this? I'm doing so much of good work, and so much of people are appreciating it. They are really seeing the benefits of good administration, and yet I'm a puppet in the sorry for using that word, but I'm a puppet in the hands of the bureaucrats or the government authorities. Personally, how do you sort of react to these sort of incidents?
First of all, I would say that, I'm just 12 years in service, and I've also been transferred more than 10 times. And as I've mentioned, to be honest or to be more transparent or to be more rightful is what one's own conscience says. Nobody actually is trying to tell you, or nobody is trying to force upon you to be dishonest or to be honest, actually. So one's own conscience is what determines as to what kind of person you want to be. Apart from, yes, the system will make you to work, the system will say that you have to be honest and rightful, but then if a person wants to be of a particular kind, one has to also understand that he has to go through the grill, or he has to face difficulties in that particular way of living. So at this, in case of Mr. Khemka, I have highest respect for him, and I'm also saying that he should not have gone through so much of pain and agony what he is going through. But then, only the upright officers or honest officers actually give a value to the system. So he's giving a lot of value to the system. He's making us to think. He's making us to also work in that particular direction. So I would say that his honesty, he is being held at the highest esteem. So he is not being looked down by the society or anybody else. He is being looked upon as a very upright and honest person, and he's been taken as an example. So we feel proud of him, not otherwise. So I would say that we all should work in a similar fashion, be upright, honest, and do whatever our job say so and not actually get perturbed by whatever the transfer does to us, because we still get the salary that we are constitutionally that or by rule whatever we need to get. So yeah, it will be causing a bit of pain and agony, yes, but then his sacrifice is being held at the highest esteem.
Right, right. Actually, that's a very different perspective and very, I think, positive perspective that you just mentioned. You know, instead of saying a corrupt IAS officer has been, sorry, I take that back. Instead of saying an honest IAS officer has been transferred or suspended, you're saying that IAS officer is now become a role model for not just the other IAS officers, but also for the people in general, and he has become, like what you said, is put up on a pedestal, and he's like the a role model that people should look up to. I think that's a very different take on these sort of incidents or these sort of allegations. So Narhari, just talking to you in this 1 hour, I get a sense that you are equally determined as you were back in when you were in the college to see through that you do get into IAS. And I hope that whatever efforts you take up and whatever initiatives you're pushing in Gwalior are not just implemented in Gwalior and not just in the state of Madhya Pradesh, but your impact, I hope, goes beyond that. So with that, thank you very much for being on Narahari, Samay, and it was a pleasure truly talking to you. And hats off to your honesty and integrity.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and to all those listeners. It's been real good interaction. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Narahari. Well, friends.